Now, part 3, let's talk about the Jungfrau region. Of all the regions in Switzerland, none so completely delivers on the image of land of chalets and cowbells and soaring peaks as the Bernese Oberland. The jewel in the crown of this region in central Switzerland is an area surrounding the Queen of the Alps, the 13,000-foot Jungfrau. This graceful mountain, female consort to the Matterhorn, some 40 miles to the south, actually overlooks a trinity of fabled ski towns. Here you have Grindelwald, Wengen, and Mürren. Each have access to their own ski mountains, by the way, as well. Grindelwald and Wengen are over half an hour apart by train, but it's quite practical, actually, to ski between them in one day, adding to that pleasure. And what towns they are. Grindelwald is a bit bustling, for my taste actually, but it is surrounded by bucolic pastures and the stunning walls of famous mountains like the Wetterhorn and the Eiger. Wengen and Mürren, on the other hand, are car-free, and they're far less commercialized than Zermatt. Mürren, the town furthest from civilization, possesses one of the most rarefied positions of any inhabited place on the planet. The downslope end of this town actually hangs over a sheer drop half the vertical height of the Grand Canyon. And believe me, it's far steeper. If you've ever been to Glacier Point in Yosemite, you kind of get the picture of what I'm talking about here. Mürren is the place to come if you're craving quiet and solitude and the vastness of the mountain world. Grindelwald, this is for people who like people. Wengen is kind of somewhere between them both. The negatives of Grindelwald and Wengen include relatively low base elevations and slow transportation upslope, complicated by year-round mass tourism, though again, not really as compressed as you might find in Zermatt. Still, this is the kind of place where, while quaffing your glühwein and goulash soup, you may see commercial groups of Japanese tourists posing en masse with a St. Bernard. Of course, they're here for a reason too. The place is just beautiful. In fact, for me, there's no more stunning region in the entire world, and that includes when you're out there on the slopes. There is an incredible variety of skiing, including famous hills like the Lauberhorn and Wengen's Klein Scheinding. There are expert runs too, like Black Rock at the base of the Eiger with views over the Jungfrau. And at Mürren, there is the Scheitelhorn, the stunning cable car served mountain famous from the James Bond film On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Now, when conditions are right, this peak offers lift surfaces of well over a vertical mile, much of it reserved for the advanced, though not necessarily super expert skiers. Accommodations kind of run the gamut, really, though you won't find palace hotels that rival those that are in St. Moritz. So, for those of you who drive the Lamborghinis, this may not be your place. There is a mountain resort, though, the Oberland, that attracts the high and the mighty, if you will. It's called Gstaad, and it is a lovely place indeed, but the mountains there aren't as high, the skiing really isn't as legendary. So if you've decided to come to the Jungfrau region, where should you stay? Well, the choices are vast, but most hotels possess kind of mid-range prices. Now, if you're looking for budget accommodations, here's an interesting idea. One lodging opportunity that people rarely consider is staying not in the towns, but right up there on the mountaintop itself. The Swiss love constructing rustic accommodations in spectacular places. These often represent amazing bargains too, and for those who really love the mountains, they're often the best places to stay. Negatives, though, include limited choice in places to eat. Of course, in Switzerland, food is expensive everywhere you're going to go. You're unlikely to be gouged on top of the mountain, though, more than at the bottom. But a trip to the co-op supermarket in town before heading up the lift might actually be a smart idea, at least to stock up on some of the non-perishables. A complete list of all the mountain hostels is available on the grindelwald.ch website. But one place that you might consider is the Mountain Lodge and Restaurant at Bahnhof Klein Scheinding, where there are cheap rooms and dorms in a rustic high mountain surrounding. Here, you are literally on top of the mountain saddle, so don't expect village life up here, only the most stunning setting imaginable. You can find these locations under mountain hostels on the official Grindelwald page, actually. One point that I'd like to make here about this place is that it will be safely and easily reachable in any weather, because it's on the main cog railway line that serves all of the slopes. But be careful about booking mountain hostels and lodges that involve considerable walking. Now, how are you going to get to these places in the dark? How about in a blizzard, for instance? A word to the wise. Another inexpensive place to consider would be the Berghaus First, at the top of the first gondola. Again, it's up on a mountaintop. Rooms here can be as cheap as $75 a night, and again, you've got that stunning view. And the first run of the day is as close as your doorstep. However, access is only by aerial gondola, remember, so you might get stranded if there's a storm. Though that could end up being the highlight of your trip, really, when you think about it. If you want a more central lodge, an interesting choice might be the Downtown Lodge in Grindelwald, which is a member of the Swiss Backpackers Group of Hostels, which has accommodations starting really cheap, actually, about $30 a night, including breakfast. The email address is downtown-lodge@jungfrau.ch. The mountain hostel in the hamlet of Immerwald near Muren is legendary among young Americans, but in winter it caters only to groups. Check out their website if you qualify. You'll find it through the SwissBackpackers.ch website. CH, by the way, stands for the Confédération Helvétique. Well, that's the French version anyway. I think the original may be Romance, which is a Swiss language derived from Latin. This is the official name for Switzerland, by the way. If they can't put you up, here's some of the links that you might want to find worthwhile. SwissBackpackers.ch, HostelsEurope.com, Gomeo.com. They book hostels all around the world, I'm told, and Grindelwald.ch, which is the official homepage of Grindelwald. Now remember, while the homepage may pop up in German, there is usually a British flag to click on and it'll switch the language for you. If you can't find anything cheap in Grindelwald or Wengen or Gimmelwald or Muren, then look at a bit further away from the slopes in Lauterbrunnen, for instance, or even further still in the resort city of Interlaken. Now, Interlaken is a bit urban, really, for my taste, but it's the kind of place that attracts vast numbers of students who have been known to find ways to have fun in any place. Now, if you do find yourself staying in Interlaken, by all means consider buying a multi-day rail and lift pass for the entire Jungfrau region, which should include the trains between all of the towns that we've already talked about. I'm Rick Chambers for Professorate.com.